Alright, so mihoyo has gone ahead and made another gacha game. Same people that made Genshin Honkai Star Rail. They dropped Zenless Zone Zero and it's been out for about a month. And today, we gonna talk about my experience playing through it. Now, I played a lot of Genshin when it dropped. I haven't been to it recently just because the story has been bogging me down and I kind of don't want to deal with all that every day. So when Zenless got announced, I was like, all right, new chance to kind of get back into the type of scene. Hopefully it's going to be different. And I'm going to tell you right now, it has. It's been different. It's been fun. I have been loving Zenless. Now, coming from Genshin and Honkai, it's going to be a bit of a different mood. I guess Genshin and Honkai were both more story oriented and I guess more expansive as a world than what you're going to find in Zenless. But what Zenless doesn't have in that, it makes up for in combat, in animation, in fun. Like as far as like a game I would want to play, I'm probably going to choose Zenless. I know for sure I'm going to choose Zenless over Honkai, even though I haven't played a whole lot of Honkai. And as far as Genshin goes, I mean, I kind of like being in Zenless more than Genshin. Let's break down some of the highlights of what Zenless has had to offer for this first month. Personally, the thing that drew me in and one of my favorite aspects of Zenless is the animation. Like you've seen Genshin, you've seen Honkai, you know how kind of the characters are animated, the world. It's very, Breath of the Wild type feel. But when it gets to Zenless, they went like an extra 2-3 miles with how they animated it. And the way I want to describe it, it's weird because I want to use the word animated to describe the type of animation and graphical sets they have for this game. Because the characters, their movements, their actions are so lively. Like it's so bubbly and bouncy, and it feels good to watch. It's almost like you're watching a cartoon. Like the characters have so much life in their actions, and that really draws you into the game. Like every time I'm watching a cutscene, I have fun because the cutscenes are so well animated. And normally I skip cutscenes because I don't feel like dealing with the story. But for these, especially if it's some of the characters I like if Nicole is in a cutscene, if Grace is in a cutscene, Rena, I'm watching it. But I mean, even like the main characters, Belle, Wise, Billy, I enjoy watching the cutscenes because I like to see how they interact with stuff. They really snapped off on the animation, and the details are so fine. Like the way they animate things just in the background, in the foreground, the way they animate how characters interact with certain objects this time and the next time, all of it looks so good. And I mean, that's just to say of like the overall feel of the game, because even the character designs I think are also really good. Obviously, I have my preferences. Obviously. But I think overall, like they really put a lot of effort into making these characters pop. Even characters I thought I initially didn't care about, over time I grew to like Ben. Ben is a character where I was really getting annoyed with Ben because that's all they give me in the gacha pulls. I had like 8, 9, 10 copies of Ben. But then I saw this cutscene, and I was like, hey yo, he kind of drippy. I'm not gonna lie. Man's got the gold chain, the scar. Like I kind of grew to like his character just from seeing it, show up on screen. And it's a testament to how much they put into like just like the renders and the way the character will interact with you in the cutscene. It can easily turn an annoying character to a likable character. I think Billy gets one of the awards for like the most animated because they really went full force with how Billy kind of like his trailers, his premieres, all that stuff. Billy looks great. As far as my personal favorites, it's probably design wise. I think I don't know if I have a favorite design quite yet. I like Zoo's design, I think most of all. And then the rest, I like those as well. I think they it's more of like they match the personality than they overshadow each other. So it's hard to say which one I might like more because I think each one is very fitting for the character that's made for. But if I like to have to choose, I'm probably going to choose Zoo. As far as play, and this will segment us into combat, but as far as characters I like to play, Rina is my favorite, without a doubt. Now, not only is she like a ranged electric type, which I enjoy, but she floats. Uh, if you know me at all, you know I love characters that float, levitate, hover, fly, any type of like flight in game. You win me over. That's one of the reasons why I talk to my people about control so much, because I can levitate. Like that's literally one of the reasons I love control as much as I do, is because I can levitate. I mean, the game's outstanding, don't get me wrong, but the fact that I can float around, big plus. And that's what Rina is. Like she's this floating electric mage. She's a support character, so like she's not, I think, intended to be the main force, but she's my main force. And I mean, that's just how I played Genshin. I played with Jean, who I think is also not really meant to be your main force, but I like the character. I'm a player. Followed up by Rina is Grace. Grace is also an electric type, but she's more of like a quick shooter than she is Rina. Rina's more like a really long distance range tech, and then Grace is a quick shooter. I want to add Zoo to the team because I want her to be my final and kind of round out the squad, but they're giving me a really hard time with the pulls. Like I'm probably gonna get her in this next 50-50 because I did it once. I got I forget the cat girl's name, but I got the cat girl, which I did not want, but now I have her. So I'm gonna run through these other pulls and try and get Zoo before the banner ends, so I can have like the rounded out squad. And I mean the combat is just in itself is very fluid and fun. I wish I could have like a Dynasty Warriors-esque like combat mode. I don't know if they have that in the works. If they're planning on that. I would absolutely love that because it feels good to use the combat. Now it's not like Genshin, and it's not like Honkai. I would say it's similar to Genshin, but in Genshin it was kind of you play characters and you swap for abilities. Like, you know, maybe you have Bennett out, you lay down his ult, and then you switch to another character so you get the healing and the attack boost. So like you play off of abilities more than you play off characters. And then in Honkai it's turn based, so you know it's kind of a different field entirely. In Zenless, it's you get 3 characters and you're swapping between them to do like combo attacks. Like, you know, you're doing your basic attack with a character, and then you'll get a chance to swap in. And then when you swap in, that new character does like a special attack, and then you can attack with them and then swap again. And it kind of builds off swapping, dodging, you know, building up a bar to use a special. That's more or less how Zenless combat works. And you don't have to swap. You don't have to utilize the swap specials as much. I know personally, I use swap specials, but I stick with Rina as like a main attacker. Like I'll use Rina, I'll do the swap specials, because usually it runs through all the characters when you do the swap specials. So like it'll go Rina, then it'll go to Grace, and then my third right now, since I don't have Zoo, is Nicole. So I'll go to Nicole, and then I swap back to Rina, and I continue fighting until the next swap. That's how I play. But I mean, it gives you a lot of options on how you want to do it. If you want to, you know, constantly swap, spot dodge. You can dodge with the swap, which also gives you a special attack. Like you can have a few different ways of fighting, and I think that makes the combat pretty interesting. The story is also pretty cool. It's, for me, I enjoy it more because it doesn't feel as heavy. Like with Genshin, I think the reason I played it less and less is because the story was becoming a bit heavier. And I don't mean heavy like emotional wise, or like just heavy as an overarching story. I mean, it's just a lot. And personally, I don't like the whole play scheme of, you know, start a story, run, talk to this person, run, talk to that person, run, talk to this person, run, talk to that person. You know, maybe do like a minute of combat, run, talk to this person. Like it's that gets a bit tedious, and I think with Zenless that happens a little bit less. It's definitely not as noticeable as it was with Genshin, and as I've heard with Honkai, but there's still some elements there. There's the TV concept where part of the gameplay is you're surfing through channels pretty much. It's like it's not combat, it's more of like I don't really know how I would describe what that portion of the game is, but it's like you're actively moving through channels, picking up stuff. It's basically like exploration, but really, really minimized. And that's one half. It's basically like the TV segments and the combat segments that usually make up a mission. You're either doing both, or you'll just do like one or the other. Although actually, I think in the TV segments, I don't know if there's been a TV segment that hasn't had combat in it, because even in like the exploration, you run into combat. But personally, I would love to see more combat oriented stuff. I would love to see longer combat, flesh it out a little bit. Because right now it's really just they spawn a few monsters, you kill them, and then you move on. Uh, and then sometimes you move around the area a little bit. It's a very pseudo exploration. I would like to see that deeply fleshed out. I think they have something good here. They can make that even better if they put some focus into that combat. I haven't been keeping up as strong with the intro story itself. Like I said, I do enjoy watching the cutscenes though. It's like as the story progresses and they do cutscenes, I do end up watching those just because they're so well done. So like I'm getting my story in that way. But with some of the more static stuff, I'm not as intrigued. But luckily like I said, they don't really wash you out with story and exposition. Of course, it's going to be there, and of course, you're going to like sit through some things. It's not as heavy and doting as it is in like Genshin and Honkai. I mean, so far as an early release, not early release, as far as the initial release, I think it's been really solid. There's obviously ways they can improve, and I know the next patch is coming. I think they're doing the same cycle with like they did with Genshin, which is 6 weeks. They do a patch update, major update. We've seen like new characters, things like that. So I'm excited to see how much longevity this game has. I really want to see it flesh out more and do more things, since I think the potential is really high. I think they have a good start here, and they can make a lot work with this. But let me know if you get this started Zenless, who your favorite character is, if you're enjoying it, what you want to see from it, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.